The wait is almost over. We now know the opponent the Baltimore Ravens will be facing in the AFC divisional round as they will host the Houston Texans coming up this weekend from the bank in Baltimore. Welcome in to this edition of Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us as we tell you everything you need to know about this matchup and what's ahead for your Baltimore Ravens as they begin the postseason. They had a bye in the wild card round, essentially a playoff win. Now, the starters, after 2 weeks off, remember a lot of them sat the final regular season game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, get 2 weeks off before this game against the Houston Texans. These teams met all the way back at week 1, where the Ravens were in complete control of that football game. Since then, the Texans got red hot to finish the year, winning their division in the AFC South with a 10-7 record and dominated Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns last week to win a playoff game. The Ravens have been the most impressive team in the National Football League this season. They have the future MVP of the NFL this season, Lamar Jackson, under center. They've won more games than anybody. The Ravens are coming in playing some very good football themselves. Now, if the Ravens were to beat the Texans, then they will face the winner of the Chiefs and Bills in the AFC Championship game. And the Ravens, of course, have home field advantage throughout the playoffs here. So you win this one, you go right back at home for the AFC Championship to face the winner of that game between Kansas City and Buffalo. The injury report for Kansas City, for Baltimore rather, is a bit lengthy, but we've heard John Harbaugh speak some optimism about this Ravens team of getting healthy in time for the game coming up this weekend. Mark Andrews, in his 21-day window of getting off IR and trying to get back on the football field. We'll wait and see if he gets off that in time for Saturday's game. If not, we'll see if it happens in the AFC Championship game should the Ravens get there. Pick Kev, Marlon, Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Geno Stone, those guys questionable. Malik Harrison, also Zay Flowers, Delshon Phillips, Brent Urban, those guys also questionable on the injury report for the Baltimore Ravens. But the optimism sounds like that from Harbaugh that we'll likely see the Ravens close to full personnel, despite these 9 names that you look at the injury report, that they should be all hands on deck for this game. Sounds like that there's no excuses. They sound optimistic. Everybody's going to be ready to go. We will get you our keys to victory for Baltimore against Houston in just one moment. But before we do, it is playoff time in Baltimore. Spam W in the comments section for those Baltimore Ravens playoff wins. I want to hear from you guys right now. Every W equals a playoff win for Baltimore. Let's get the job done. Let's do our part. Spam W if you want those playoff wins. Ravens fans, we're going to be live for every single Ravens playoff game here on the channel. Not only will we bring their daily news and rumors, our live shows, Q&A mailbags, all that stuff, we're going to be here for every single game. Win or lose, we're going to have a great time no matter what. The run to the playoffs, the run through the playoffs is right here on Ravens Rundown. Subscribe now for free. Help us get to our next milestone. 15,000 subscribers on the channel. We'll have you covered throughout the postseason like no one else will. Now, keys to victory for Baltimore throughout this game against Houston. Let's break them down. I got my prediction coming up later, but let's start with keys to victory. Number 1, Lamar Jackson excelling in the passing game. Lamar playing to his full potential when it comes to passing the football. Look, I'm going to be frank. This is the most important game of Lamar Jackson's career coming up this weekend. And it will be very important to get the passing game going at a high level, to set the tone early, get those guys involved from Zay Flowers to OBJ, Aguilar, likely whoever's out there. We've seen Lamar look very accurate throwing the football this year. 67% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's done a really good job in that air attack. But in the past, we've seen Lamar take a step back or kind of crumble of sorts when it comes to these playoff games. He's got to deliver his best, and it starts with passing the football at a high level in this playoff environment. Number 2, OBJ. Look, we have talked a lot on this program about the impact OBJ had on the Rams Super Bowl back in that 2019 through 20 season. And I've said many times, and I'll say it again, the Rams would not have won that Super Bowl had OBJ not have been on that Rams team and made the impact that he did. I'm looking for that type of impact from OBJ, that he gets involved and that he makes that difference for this Ravens team. More on OBJ just a second, but first, let's tell you about our sponsor. That is Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, passing yards, receiving yards. Maybe you want to mix and match different leagues, the NFL, NBA, college football, NHL, MLB, and more. Got some Monday Night Football action tonight. And we're rolling with White to have more than 22.5 receiving yards for Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield to have more than 199.5 passing yards. And Jalen Hurts to have more than 24.5 rushing yards. Let's say I put $20 down, all 3 of these hit. We're walking home with $60 on Prize Picks. Actually, I take that back, $100 on Prize Picks with all 3 of those. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Now, here's what I mean when it comes to OBJ. The impact that he can deliver to an offense could be the difference between the Baltimore Ravens winning a postseason game and losing a postseason game. That is the level of difference that he can make. Because we know on any given night, OBJ's going off for 100 yards, but we've seen times, too, where he's done absolutely nothing. They need OBJ at his best. So far this season, 35 catches, 565 yards, 16 yards of reception, 3 touchdowns. We need OBJ to do everything he can to show what he's made of and get it done at a high level. I believe in OBJ. I think he can get the job done, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to know if you're feeling like I do about OBJ. Do you believe in OBJ? If you do, type OBJ for yes. If not, type no BJ for no. Do you believe in OBJ? He's going to be the difference for Baltimore or not? Let me know. Number 3, all gas, no brakes, attack early and often if you're this Ravens offense. Think about this. This is a long layoff, right? And a lot of you reminded me in the comments section over the last couple of weeks that the last time the Ravens had the 1 seed, starters took the last week of the regular season off. Then the week following, they were off because they earned the bye. And then they came out flat against Tennessee, right? That cannot happen again. The Ravens need to set the tone early and really get this thing going. They cannot afford to come out flat. That rest time is supposed to be to your advantage, okay? I expect Todd Monken and this offense to come in with a scripted game plan where that opening drive, they know every play they're going to run ahead of time, and they run it, execute it to perfection right out of the gates after those off weeks. And we've seen, history tells us, the Ravens have been a very good team in the first quarter of this season, averaging about 6.2 points per game in the first quarter, which is about 4th best of any team in the NFL. So if they do what they're supposed to, if they do what they're capable of operating as this high-powered first quarter offense, then they should be fine. They should be in good shape. But with all that said, still got to get the job done. Still got to do it. Let's talk defense now. The Ravens pass rush has been awesome so far in this 2023 through 2024 campaign. And what's so cool is that they've done it with guys we typically don't talk about, that we weren't expecting to talk about, that weren't being paid a ton of money. The likes of Jadeveon Clowney, Kyle Van Noy, guys that were added late and still made a difference. The Ravens defense has been at their best when they get after the quarterback. Doesn't matter what the quarterback they're facing, but when they get after the quarterback, they look phenomenal. And it makes a difference, and they just look great. And so if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm doing whatever I can to get after C.J. Stroud, rattle that rookie early. That's something that Cleveland was not able to do a week ago. They struggled doing that. They have to do what they can to get after C.J. Stroud and really just make life hell for him right away out of the gates. I mean, you're looking at a team that has just been so effective with that pass rush that can't slow down this week. Now, the ultimate goal is the Super Bowl, right? Can this Ravens team win it all? Can they win the Super Bowl title? Weigh in, tell me what you think. Y for yes, in for no. I believe this team is capable. If they play to their potential, this team can't be stopped. But will they deliver when it counts, when it matters most? Let me know. Y for yes, in for no if they'll win the Super Bowl or not. Looking at the Ravens sack leaders going into this weekend, Justin Matabuke has been phenomenal. 13 sacks. Clowney with 9.5. Kyle Van Noy with 9. Adafe Owe with 5. Patrick Queen with 3.5. Your sack leaders. And the theme that I find with all these numbers here is that it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, it's like an NBA team where you got 5 guys that can score, right? Where on any given night, one of those 5 guys is capable of being the best player. That's what I'm looking at with Baltimore here. It might be Justin's night against the Texans. It might be Clowney's. It might be Van Noy's. I don't care who it is, but it needs to be somebody's. Last but not least in our keys to victory, finding a role for Dalvin Cook. I fully anticipate that Dalvin Cook is going to be activated in time for this game this weekend. Why on earth would you have signed him and given him a shot had that not been your plan to activate him? I think he plays. And here's the other thing with Dalvin. He's got fresh legs. He wasn't hardly used in New York. And he's going to be a change of pace back. He's going to add a bit of speed, another element from what we typically see with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. And for a team like Houston, for example, that's been scouting this Baltimore team, trying to get ready for it, they aren't going to have any tape on Dalvin Cook's role in this Ravens offense. You have to exploit that. You have to take advantage of that. I know the numbers from Dalvin weren't that great this year, but you don't have to go back very far. 2022, when he was still averaging 4.4 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns. You can't tell me after 67 carries that Dalvin Cook has lost it all. I think he's still got something for this final stretch. I'll give you my prediction for this game in just a bit. We'll want to hear from you guys first. Who wins? What's the final score going to be? Weigh in the comments section. Tell me who you think wins and what the final is going to be. Let us know. All right, my prediction. Going with Baltimore. I think this is a high-scoring affair. I like the Ravens in a shootout. Ultimately, the Texans, it's a great story. It's been an awesome run, what they've done with C.J. Stroud, and everything about the Texans has been great. But I'll take the Ravens offense any day over what the Texans offer. I'll go Baltimore to win and take care of business 34-27. Sub for Ravens Dubs. We're going to be live coming up this weekend for this one. So keep it locked in. We got you covered. Going to be a fun week ahead. Ravens playoff football. In the words of Heath Ledger as the Joker, here we go.